This is a review of Premium Economy of a brand new route from Rome to Melbourne via Perth, flying Qantas flight QF6 and QF10. Our day began early. We left our hotel around about 7 a.m. and got to Rome's Fiumicino airport around about 8 a.m. A few people about, but we had no difficulty whatsoever checking in. There was no wait, so that was a very easy experience. We were catching flight QF6 from Rome to Perth with a scheduled departure time of 10:50 a.m. That flight was delayed by around about an hour, as it would seem most Qantas flights are being delayed at the moment. We were in seats 23A and 23B, which was the last two seats right at the back of the small premium economy cabin. There are 3 flights per week from Rome to Perth. We flew on Thursday the 4th of August, and coincidentally the route had only been in operation for about 4 or 5 weeks when we caught the flight, so I think there's still a bit of polishing up to do. There was a delay at Rome airport and the staff just seemed a little bit disorganised. I'm not sure whether that's the Italian influence or just the fact that it's a new route. The flight time for that flight is around 15 hours 45 minutes with a scheduled touchdown in Perth airport around 8:35 the following day. There's a stopover in Perth for around 4 hours and 30 minutes, and then the flight out is catching QF10, which is the flight from London Heathrow to Melbourne, so actually joining that flight at Perth, leaving at 1:10 in the afternoon and arriving in Melbourne around about 6:40 p.m. that evening for a 3 hours 30-minute flight time. Both those flights were late, so we got into Melbourne, I would say around about 7:30ish, so it was about almost an hour late. That was quite a long trip and we were quite tired at the end of it, and in fact both of us had sore backs. One thing should be noted, and that is that there's no lounge access at Perth Airport for premium economy travellers. We made the mistake of spending a bit of time in a cafe outside of security, whereas we should have gone past security twice. The first security gets you through to domestic departures, and the second security check gets you through to international departures. So here I am at Priority Pass Lounge, Rome's Fiumicino Airport. It should be noted that Premium Economy does not entitle you to lounge access at Perth Airport. Given that there was a 4 hour 30-minute stopover, that's quite a bit of time. We were in Terminal 3, and I guess we did have the option of going to Terminal 2 by catching a bus and going through security and going to a Premium Plaza lounge in Terminal 2 and then catching a bus and going through security a couple of times. But we were pretty tired and I don't think we thought it was worth getting some little bit of free food and drink just to go through all that hassle. So that was a little bit disappointing. We had to, I guess, rough it with some of the economy passengers. After a delay of about an hour, we did board. The boarding process was quite easy. A little bit of a long walk, but yeah, pretty easy. easy to stash all your stuff, plenty of room in the overhead lockers. Friendly staff greeted you at the entrance of the plane. All in all, a pretty good experience. Well, we've just got our seats on QA6 from Fiumicino Airport in Rome to Perth. It should be about a 17-hour flight. And this is the first, one of the first few times that the flight's actually flown on this route. It's a brand new route. So we're sitting in, I'm sitting in 23A, which is in Premium Economy, and it's a fairly decent seat. It's fairly spacious. I've got plenty of room either side. There's USB cables. There's this rather ugly thing, which is apparently an airbag. That's the first for a plane. I've never been in a plane with an airbag before, and it's slightly uncomfortable. There's storage there. There's a fair bit of storage there, as you can see. There's a footrest that comes down. That's the seat. Cushion behind me. Fair bit of elbow room. And I've got a fair bit of room on the side. I've got a window seat, and I've got a choice of that window or that window, and predominantly the view of the wing. So it's going to be a long flight. I'm going to sit back, relax and enjoy this, and maybe give a couple of updates with food and so on. So let's have a look at this entertainment system. It was pretty good and responsive when we flew from Perth to Heathrow, London. Actually, there was quite a few decent series, so quite responsive and a fair bit of choice. So between that and a book and a bit of music, that should be quite good. Alright, let's go. The entertainment system on board was pretty good. Nice, large, bright screen. Quite fast and responsive, although my system did actually freeze just before takeoff, and it did take a couple of minutes to reset, but the flight attendant reset it, and no further issues were experienced. I'll point out that Qantas do supply a noise cancelling headset, but I found that the Bose noise cancelling headset that I brought along with me was a little bit better both in noise cancelling and also sound quality, and I chose to wear that for the flight rather than the one they supplied. Pretty good choice of viewing options. There was quite a few recent movies, quite a good range of TV series, and unlike some airlines, there was quite a few episodes. The ergonomics of the cabin were quite good. The seats were reasonably comfortable, although for a reason that I'm not really sure of, both myself and my partner did experience bad backs at the end of this trip. Now, we did the QF9, which was Melbourne to Heathrow, and we didn't experience bad backs, so I'm not sure whether it's the combination of the two flights cumulative, or whether it's the lack of sleep, because we didn't actually sleep much on the flight. But yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. Like the seats were comfortable and reasonably ergonomic, but that didn't stop us suffering. There wasn't too much cabin noise. I think the 787 Dreamliner is a much more quieter plane than, say, the Airbus A380. So, the ambient noise was a lot less, and it made the trip a lot more comfortable. There are 28 seats in Premium Economy with a bulkhead front and rear, making it nice and quiet. We sat in seats 23A and B, as you can see on the line with the red markings, right at the end of Premium Economy. Now, one of the things that I did notice, and it was the same as our trip to Melbourne to Heathrow, was that the Premium Economy passengers did use business class as a bit of a thoroughfare to get to the toilets. So a handy tip would be, if you are booking this flight, not to book in rows 10, 11 and 12, because it is a bit of a thoroughfare, and especially when you're trying to sleep, there's quite a few Premium Economy passengers traipsing up and down that corridor to get to the what are business class toilets. So that's a handy tip if you're ever flying on that class with Qantas or any other airline that has a similar configuration. 2 meals were served on the flight, the first being lunch, and that was quite a nice chicken and salad, plus quite a few accompaniments, mainly Italian, another salad and some fresh fruit, so that was quite nice and tasty. My partner had a vegetarian meal, which was the pasta bake, and it wasn't very nice by all accounts. A little bit overcooked, dry, and just generally not that tasty. I'll put the menu up on the screen, and the menu for non-gluten-free people was quite good. There was quite an extensive drinks range. I chose to have a Chivas Regal on the rocks during the flight, which was quite nice and appreciated. And you could order drinks and snacks from the flight attendants right throughout the trip. So there was quite a decent choice of snacks available if you got a little bit hungry, but I think overall there was adequate food served throughout the flight. Breakfast was quite nice too. It was scrambled eggs with a little bit of gluten-free toast for me. That was probably the nicest meal. It sort of tasted the best and was freshest. So I did enjoy that breakfast a fair bit. The cabin had those magic blue windows which you could control at certain parts of the flight, but the flight attendants did actually make them very, very dark to help sleep. I didn't get very much sleep at all on the flight, primarily because we took off at around about 11 a.m. and after we were fed lunch, they turned down the lights and dimmed the windows, and it was only about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I just wasn't tired at all. And when it came around midnight, they started serving breakfast in preparation for landing at Perth Airport. So the time of the flight just wasn't conducive to getting some good sleep. So slept very little, and that may have contributed to sort of back issues and being pretty tired by the time we landed in Perth Airport at 8:30 Perth time the next day. I'm a big duty-free shopper, and I do like to get my whiskies duty-free, and the thing that really annoyed me about this flight was that we just weren't given the opportunity or allowed to buy any duty-free. We were told we couldn't buy it at Rome Airport because we had to go through security at Perth. When we got to Perth Airport, we were told we couldn't buy it because we had to re-enter through security wards twice through the 2 sets of security, so we couldn't take any alcohol on board. And then when we got to Melbourne Airport, we were told that because it was deemed a domestic flight and not an international flight, there was no entitlement to buy duty free at Melbourne Airport. So very, very annoying in that we had no opportunity to buy duty free at all. So it was quite disappointing for me, and it's something that I didn't expect, and towards the end of the trip, it sort of marred the overall experience. In summary, I do think Premium Economy was worth the premium over economy. The seats were a lot better, the ergonomics were better, the cabin was better, the service was better, I think the food was better, and the choice of drinks were better. But in hindsight, I'm not sure that I'd actually fly this route again. The 4.5 hour stopover in Perth in a fairly small terminal with not much to do and not much in the way of choices of cafes, food, or a drinks area was a little bit problematic. The fact that I wasn't able to get much sleep was a little bit problematic. I think that's primarily the result of leaving in the morning. If I was to fly from Europe to Australia and Melbourne again, I'd be looking for a different route, flying perhaps later in the day, in the late afternoon or evening. I think would be more conducive to a routine that would enable you to sleep a lot better. And I think the final icing on the cake was not being able to buy duty free. That was for me a little bit disappointing and detracted from the overall flight experience. So I think Qantas or someone needs to look at that and make some changes. Qantas also needs to improve its on-flight departure timing, because every flight that we've taken has been delayed. In summary, it was good, not great. I think the premium over economy was worth it, but I'd be looking to maybe fly a different route if you wanted to get more sleep. Hopefully you've liked this video. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll endeavour to do more travel reviews and flight reviews in coming periods. Thank you.